right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day of SaberSim's DFS office hours. Today is Monday, December 9th of 2024, and looking ahead here, we have a single NFL showdown slate. We have one NBA game tonight, and then we have 3 games on the NHL main slate. So it should be a fun day of DFS. For those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Andrew. I'm one of the coaches over here at SaberSim. This is a show where we go over how to use the SaberSim app, answer any and all DFS related questions. Get your questions in one of 3 ways here. First off, send us an email, support@sabersim.com. Second, post it live in the YouTube chat. Third way, post it in the office hours channel in our Discord server. If you're not in our Discord and want to get access to that channel, there is a link in the description of this video. You also get access to our similar channels, individual sport channels, and you get access to the rest of the SaberSim teams. Can't say enough good things about the Discord. But with that said, we do this show Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. We do this show on Saturdays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Tune in any one of those days and get your questions answered. We also have our build a review show today that goes live at 5 p.m. Eastern. So it should be a fun day. It is Monday here, so we do have to announce the winners for our weekly max challenge. So I got the max challenge sheet up here. We have to announce our top finisher for the week and give away tickets to next week's mini max as well. So for our top finisher of the week, it was none other than Raya 79 here with a 7th place finish. Good with 272.68 points. That is an insane amount of points to come in 7th place with, but it was a pretty crazy afternoon slate. I know SaberSim user JBK took down the 555 milli maker, so that was super awesome. Congrats to JBK. And I know I saw a lot of other winning screenshots in the Discord. So hope you guys are getting in on the action. All right. So that is our top finisher. Going to get SaberSim hoodie entry into the end of the season. Big game free roll here. Now we got to give away tickets to next week's minimax. So I've grabbed all the names of everybody who participated in week 14, dropped them into our wheel of names, and I'm going to shuffle a couple times, and then we're going to spin here to see who wins free entry to next week's contest. All right. Winner is Joff M33. You guys probably know him as GM33 in the Discord, always helping out. So nice to see him win here. Let's get this name. Oh, I'm going to sign out. All right, hold on. Let me make sure I log this because I do not want to mess it up. And for the winners, our support team will reach out to you, let you know about how to claim your prizes. So appreciate everybody participating. As always, we are very, very close to the end of the season, which is sad and exciting at the same time here. So let me get this in. All right, all set there on this page here. So got the winners in. All right, cool. Good stuff so far. Going to get SaberSim pulled up. We have plenty of questions to dive into here. So we will just start from the top down in the chat. So no problem at all. And let's get SaberSim up. All right. First question from Sean. When implementing a group rule to give low-owned plays or a chance at top 1% lineups, is there a selection or certain settings? And if so, what would you suggest is the max lineups? You should narrow it down to 20. And then there was a continuation down here. Or should the request just be one lineup as I increase the percent of ownership on the group to assign one player at low percent to be used, captain and / or flex? Okay, so let's go back to the top. The way I would do this, right? If I'm trying to basically tell the builder, hey, I want to play somebody in a lineup that has a lower overall ownership, right? The way I would probably do that is going into the rules here, going to add new rule. And then what I would say is use at least one. And then I would say, I would check all the positions. So just one note here, right now in this showdown rules, the way this works, the positions, it's captain or flex. You can't say both. Unfortunately, we're going to be adding either the ability to check both of these at the same time or a like both option as a third here. So that's coming soon. But the way I would probably do this in the meantime is I would be more inclined to do this like in the flex than in the captain, because you're going to see lineups where it's like, a sub 5% owned captain with like all of the chalky flex pieces, just because there's usually only a few ways, or not a few ways, but there's not as many profitable lineups where you're playing like a lower projected captain without playing like higher projected players in the flex, which leads to like higher ownership. So there's just less viable combinations of like lower owned captains in general. So I'd be more inclined to do this in the flex. Check all the positions, go to add requirement, and then say use or add a requirement that says my own less than, and say like 10, right? So then now I have a rule that says use at least one, or you can even do exactly one, or whatever you want to do. Use at least one flex player. You're allowing all the captains to be selected, or all the positions to be selected whose ownership is less than 10%. And a rule like this would probably get you closer to where you're trying to go, right? So I'd be inclined to try it this way and see how it works. And then, you can always spot check the lineups after the build and see if they're coming close to how you want them to look. All right, good stuff there. Before we get the next question, I'm just going to kick off a build because it's always good to have some lineups. All right, next question. Question about Showdown. New here. I was just curious if you're using a sim to choose which lineups to play, would it not choose the same lineups for many different SaberSim users, increasing the number of dupes to the point where it would potentially no longer be positive EV? So first off, we got to talk about how we build lineups, right? So if you are using sim mode, the chances are you are not going to get the same lineup as every other SaberSim user. And the reason for that is in sim mode, we use this specific slider called sim diversity. Now, what the sim diversity does is it randomly samples our sim database and uses the results from that sim to build your lineup, right? We are not using a traditional optimizer where it is strictly going off of the projected points and trying to build the best possible projected lineup, right? If that were the case, then yeah, you and I could run a build and there is only one mathematical right answer for the highest projected lineup, right? So if we were doing that, which would be switching build mode to optimizer, then yes, that would be true, right? But with sim diversity, we are randomly sampling the sim database, pulling sims, playing them out, and then building your lineup from there. So that's why SaberSim users don't all get the same lineup every time they build. Now, along with that, I do think, you need to worry about duplication. I think that's important, right? You're on the right track there. Hey, if my lineup ends up being higher duplicated, then, I'm going to win less of the first place prize, and, the lineup probably not going to grade out as well. I think all those things are important. I think all those things are true, right? What I recommend people do is worry about duplication on the contest level, right? Like, hey, do I need to worry about duplication in this contest? That's the kind of the way you need to think about it. And I think a good example is, we were just talking about our max challenge promotion that we run, right? The max challenge is probably, or the minimax, the NFL minimax on the main slate is probably the contest you're going to see the most SaberSim users playing, because we are running a promotion directly for that contest. Even in that contest, SaberSim users are only taking up 15% of total entries, and we are like suggesting people play that contest, right? So I think that other contests, the percentage of SaberSim users is only going to be lower. So I think it's just important to think about duplication on as a whole, right? Don't think about duplication just with other SaberSim users. So remember that. Some ways to account for duplication, right? One of our favorite ways here is geometric mean. So if you go to the help docs, you go to our tutorial section, click view more. And then in this search bar, type in geometric. Check out this video, how do ownership product and ownership geometric mean work. I will paste it in the YouTube chat. That way you can check it out easily as you watch this. That's going to be a great way to do it. You can do things with max salary. You can do things with lineup construction, right? What that would look like, one way I'll suggest that is run a cache build. So come in and run a build on optimizer mode, right, to mimic highest projected lineups and get a sense for where the field is going, right? Like, okay, hey, it's a 5-point spread. Maybe the field is leaning Cincinnati, right? 5-1 Cincinnati stacks, 4-2 Cincinnati stacks. The field is really not getting to that much Cowboys, right? Maybe not getting to that many Cowboys 4-2s, 5-1s. But when you come into the builder and we go to team stacks and we go to 5-1s, hey, Cowboys 5 stacks are good about 5% of the time. We're actually getting to some out of the gate, right? Cowboys 4-2 stacks are good, 15% of the time. Both of those less than the Cincinnati version, but the sim is saying like, hey, these are still viable lineups, and it could be a good idea to try and get to some of those lineups. That way you can get more unique by just playing constructions of lineups that the field is less likely to play, right? So lineup construction, salary considerations, geometric mean, you could filter for some ownership too, to try and lower that overall some ownership in your lineups, which will just help you to get to lower owned plays. You could do things like Sean was recommending earlier, right? With rules, guaranteeing a lower owned player in your lineups, right? So duplication, very important to account for it. And that's about like 5 different ways to do so. But if you're looking for more guidance on Showdown, you can head over to Saber School, go to how to beat DFS. And I would check out this video here, Master the Art of NFL DFS Showdowns. It's a very in-depth video that Jordan did and gives you a bunch of guidance and tips and strategy ideas for NFL showdowns in general. All right, good stuff there. Keeping it rolling. Next question, new to SaberSim, trying to take it all in. How does everyone go about reviewing their builds the day after? So this one was from Bodies by Dad, and he is actually signed up for the build review show now. So that's great. In case anybody didn't know, we have our build review show twice a week, Mondays, Fridays, 5 p.m. Eastern. If you ever want to get signed up, all you got to do is drop your DK username in the office hours channel. Let me know what sport and slate you want me to review, and I will review your lineups for you. Should give you a pretty good sense of how to review your lineups going forward and ideas and things to change. But if you're looking for tips on how to use contest flashback, 2 good videos. One of them in our help docs. Again, tutorials, view more. You go to this top section, SaberSim tutorials, and then we have this video, how to use contest flashback. This is a good one. I will drop that here in the chat. And then second video is going to be in Saber School again. This time, go to SaberSim 101 and go to this Study the Sharks, reviewing past slates with the Saber system. This is also a very good video for using contest flashback. So those are your 2 resources, as well as the build review show. All right, next question. Hey, Andrew, the last week or so, when building lineups, I've been adjusting my ownership projection column to match whatever the bulk of my contest portfolio was for a given slate. I do a lot of 0.5 minimax and $1 max. Okay, I get it now. So I often set this to reflect the low stakes MME, as it usually has the bulk of my entries. Is that the right way to go about it, or is it better to just leave it at the default Flagship MME? I think you're doing it right. I would definitely recommend continuing to do it this way. All you're doing is getting more accurate ownership, or you're looking at values that more reflect what the players will look like in the contest that you're playing, and that just helps you to compare your exposures better, to get better leverages, and make some of these decisions when building your lineups, right? So remember, leverage is always exposure minus ownership. And if you're looking at, high stakes single entry to exaggerate, the ownership is probably going to be different than if you're looking at low stakes MME. So looking at the most accurate set of ownership projections for you is definitely a good option if you have access to all of the different ownership buckets, which is available on the Ultimate subscription. All right. Next question. What are some common filters or rules you use to increase your ROI? And what metrics do you look for after running a contest sim to determine if a manual change was beneficial or negative? Okay, good question. So we talked a lot actually about some things that we're doing, right? I mean, we're talking about NFL Showdown strategy. So one that I recommended here was geometric mean, which is trying to lower the duplication rate of your lineups. So what I would recommend here generally is if you're on starter, then I would do this as a aggregate rule first off. So you go to aggregate, you would go to my own, geo mean no more than X. We'll talk about this in a minute. The other way you could do this, if you're on ultimate, is go to your sorting metrics, go to add metric, create a metric that looks like this, my own geo mean value, where it calculates the geometric mean value of every lineup. I've renamed it geo mean here. And then you filter out lineups with a high geo mean. That's why we said the no more than option here. So two ways to do it, right? If I'm on ultimate, the way I do this, because this is the way that I recommend doing it, or I don't recommend it. It's hard to say, right? Optimal strategy is to calculate the correct geo mean value for every contest that you're playing and update the filter every time, right? So the way you solve it is, and this is all in that tutorial that I dropped in the chat earlier too, but the geo mean value of a contest would be the number of dupes you're shooting for. Let's say we're shooting for 20 dupes, lineups duplicated less than 20 times specifically. So 20 divided by the number of entries in your contest. Say we're playing a 20,000 person contest. 20,000 in parentheses, take that to the power of 1 divided by 6, which is 6 is the number of players in the lineup, right? So there's 6 players here. If this was FanDuel, there's 5 players, so you would put 5. But 1 divided by 6, click equals, then you get a number, right? So my number is 0.316. This would be 31.6 in the app. You round the decimal 2 places here. So 31.6, right? So then that would be the value in your rule. Hey, my own geometric mean no more than 31.6. Or you do it as a post-build filter. Once you've created this metric here, then you go to your lineup filters, and then you create one that says show lineups with geo mean less than, and then I would put 31.6 here, right? And then I would just make sure it's checked, and it would be active. So this is one I would recommend. This will help you to, it is hard enough to win first place, just in general, build the winning lineup. When you do that, you want to get as much of the first place prize as you possibly can, right? So there's always a balance between duplication and win rate that you're trying to strike. And geomean is a very good way of doing that. Other thing, right, is before I make any adjustments, minimax exposures, uniques, I like to have a average projection aggregate metric, which is from this wheel icon. And then if you've run a contest sim, which I haven't run one here, so I'm not going to do it, but you could also go and add, you'll have I like to do average ROI. So if you run the contest sim, your contest sim metrics will be available in this dropdown. And then I would add an ROI one as well. That way, when you are making adjustments, minimax exposures, min uniques, you could watch how these metrics change and figure out like, okay, hey, I made a minimum exposure change and my ROI went down 50%. Like, hey, maybe that was a little aggressive. Maybe I should rethink doing that in the first place and kind of go from there. So those are good ones to look at. All right, next question. Should I be tweaking exposures, etc., while autofill tab is selected, or tweak with direct fill, then autofill at the end? I noticed the exposure changes sometimes dramatically after switching to auto. Okay, so the way this works is when you are in direct fill, the lineups you are viewing are the exact lineups that will go into your contest. When you are in autofill, the builder does not know yet which lineups are going to go into your contests because it handles it on a contest by contest basis. So for instance, say you have two lineups, two contests, both 20 maxes. And for one of them, you set min uniques to 2, and the other one you set min uniques to 3, right? And you're using unique rank where a lineup cannot be used more than once. So it's going to fill the top contest, and it's going to take those lineups out of the effective pool And then it's going to use whatever lineups are remaining, resort them, and then apply them in uniques, and then put their next set of lineups into the second contest. The builder is not pre-processing that calculation. It's doing it as it goes. So that's why, in order to see your exposures, you need to click save and then go back to this table and then review the exposures after you've clicked save. Now, your minimax exposures should be being honored on a contest by contest level. So if that's not happening, then what I would do is go to the top right corner, go to report a problem, write us a brief description of what you're encountering, and then our support team can look into it and figure out what's going on. We'll get back to you with our findings. All right. RB1 Smitty said, hey, Andrew, I sometimes edit some of my lineups on DK/FanDuel after uploading from SaberSim. Of course, this causes issues with review since SaberSim isn't updated with my edits. I'm aware that I can edit on SS. Thoughts? Thanks. So you're right. For your lineup specifically, we're just like pulling them from your CSV, and then for all the other lineups, they're coming from the Another thing that you can try other than using the pencil icon is you could just re-download them into SaberSim after you've made your manual edits. So if you want to make some manual edits on your phone or computer, whatever you're going to do, just come back into SaberSim, go to the contest tab. After you've uploaded a set of an entries file here, right? Like I'll just do an example. So like I upload an entry file. If I want to re-upload one, I just go to the same page, go to this upload, the up arrow icon, and then I can redo it. So if you want to make manual edits, come back into SaberSim, just pull the file so SaberSim is back on the same page about what your lineups are, and then maybe that will help. So give that a shot, see if it works. All right. Mathis said, I'm late, but any chance to review my showdowns from last night? Got my butt kicked last night. Username Mathis. Mathis, if you can post a message in the office hours channel in Discord, I can add you to the list. Build a review show, still about 40 minutes out. I do have to do a little bit of like legwork to get people added to the list. I can't do that from the YouTube chat, but if you could do that in the Discord, then yes, I can add you to the list for today. No problem. All right. And I see your message now. Cool. Awesome. I'll get you added today. All right. But with that said, we are all caught up here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I will be back about 35-ish minutes here for the Build Review Show. So until then, everybody, take care. Good luck. Thanks. Bye.